Hey guys, what's up? Scottish Dick here once again. Right, we're in the middle of E3, and this must seem like a pretty random video for me, isn't it? I don't know, I've not put something out in a while. It's even the middle of the week. I don't normally film during the middle of the week. But I just had like that sudden impulse. It's like, I want to do my top 20 Dreamcast games. So, fuck it, I'm doing it. I just ran in here while the passion was still red hot, pulled out some games, put them in a pile here, and we're gonna go over them. Now, I think this is recently I've been looking at my collection, right, and thinking to myself, what to do with it next, what to add to it next, I should say, because I'm almost at the mindset that I've got every game I could ever want. It's weird, that's a weird way of putting it, because obviously you want to keep adding to your collection and stuff. But there's nothing out there that I would say that I desperately want. So what I'm trying to do now, as of right now, this might reflect in some of my videos from now on, is that I'm going to try my best to expand my Sega console collection. Dreamcast, Mega Drive, Saturn, Master System, and Sega CD, Mega CD, sorry. I've been trying to, you're going to see a lot of Mega CD games in my next collection update. So that's what I'm going to try focusing on collecting as of now, not to say I'll not pick up anything Nintendo ever again, that's just stupid to say, but I'm focusing on Sega for sure. And I gotta say, right, see picking out 20 Dreamcast games, it was surprisingly difficult because, I don't know, it feels like with the Dreamcast it's almost a very extreme case of quality over quantity, at least from my perspective, growing up with that console and just the games that I played on it just shaping me into the person I am pretty much, just got so much wonderful good times on it that really the Dreamcast could have had my top half dozen games or something on it and it would still be my favourite console of all time, top 5, I don't know. But regardless, I've tried to get 20 here, and there's quite a lot for the Dreamcast that I even own that I've not gotten around to properly playing yet, and there's still a lot out there that I've never played, but suffice to say, I think I've played all the big wigs on this console, so let's just get right into it, shall we? Okay, starting off number 20, okay? And this is probably a good indication of how hard it was to put this list together, because my number 20 is Virtua Tennis. I mind popping this in and having a good time with it. I like the mini games, it was a fairly okay tennis game, but I'm not into sports games, so it's I don't know, this is just literally a place, this is literally the gatekeeper. I'm sure that anything, in fact here I've made a wee pile of games that I have not tried yet. So we got Trick Style, always remember looking at that game back in the day in magazines and stuff. Carrier, I've actually played about half hour of this game, it's like a terrible Resident Evil clone, but it might be worth playing. Fighters, I don't think that's an exclusive. Headhunter, now I've played this one quite a bit, and just not gotten around to beating it yet, I really want to. And Fighting Force 2, that's just a random game I have, I have no idea what it's even like, but it's Fighting Force 2. So, yeah, there's even more than that too, so number 20 is sure to get replaced relatively soon, but yeah, Virtua Tennis, whatevs. Is this even 1 or 2? I can't even know, it's 1. Okay, do I own 2? Yes, I do own 2, so yeah, I've got both of them. I played a lot of 4. 4 was good, so Virtua Tennis, there you go. It's see, it's also weird because when you go onto Metacritic or game rankings and you look at the top highest rated Dreamcast games, Virtua Tennis is in there, very high. So is one of the NFL games, so I'm compelled to try a fucking hockey game as well, just because it's so highly regarded on the Dreamcast. Anyway, enough about number 20, let's keep going with this. Okay. Here's a game that I quite like a lot, it's a good wee distraction. Probably the Dreamcast version, although it's the original version, maybe my least favourite version, funnily enough. We got Choo Choo Rockets here. This is still wrapped in cellophane, because I don't know how, but these are, actually I do know how, this is just an extremely common game. I'm pretty sure Sega was giving this away for nothing at one point. But yeah, it was pretty much just a fun little puzzle game, that's pretty much it. I remember putting this in and spending a good big afternoon on it, trying to get as far as possible because it was just so addicting to lead the mice into the rocket and shit. Yeah, and it's got a bit of a cult following, this game, the mice and the cat is, you see them pop up in other Sega games and stuff. made by Sonic Team as well. So they ported this to like iPad and stuff. And I've not actually played the iPad version, but I just thought I'd think about it and like, this would be a perfect game for that sort of like platform, you know. Not mean that as an insult. I know some people, when you associate anything with mobile gaming, it's like, yeah, it's shit. But no. I'm sure this would work fine on that platform. But I've got like a loose disc somewhere about here, and that's how I've played it. And I've got this in the cellophane, but this is just another copy. So yeah, Choo Choo Rockets is number 19 here and there. Okay, man, did I really put this low? Okay. Here's the thing. Here's a weird thing about like being a Dreamcast fanboy. Okay, when you're a Dreamcast fanboy and you are not into fighting games, something's wrong. Okay, it's like being a fan of the PlayStation 1 and not being into RPGs, or being a fan of the N64 and not being into 3D platformers. You know, fighting games was just what the Dreamcast did best, and I put together a little list here. Again, another pile of games that aren't on the list that you may be expecting would be on, but I just bundled all my fighting games here together. I got Power Stone, Virtua Fighter 3, Marvel vs. Capcom 2, Soul Calibur, and Ready to Rumble box. That's actually quite shite, that one, but you get the idea. And I don't even have all of them. It was like, I don't own a version of like Street Fighter 3 or anything, but yeah, fighting games, I'll pop them in for a bit, have a little bit of fun with them, but it's hard for me to justify putting them like really high on any list, you know. But I think in terms of like fighting games that I played the most, I really got to give it to this one right here, Dead or Alive 2. I don't know why this is in this sort of like packaging like this. Makes me wonder if I've been ripped off and this is some sort of like copy. It probably is actually. I've never even considered this before, but is this some sort of like bootleg? I don't know. The disc is real. I've popped it in. It works. But yeah, Dead or Alive. This is a game that I did play a lot of on the Dreamcast. My main was always Hayate. It comes in a bundle. Okay, that explains it. Now, as to why I chose this game over all the other ones, all the other amazing fighting games on the Dreamcast to like sink all my time into, I'm feeling surprisingly honest. I was 13 or 14, and yeah, you can all imagine the rest. Okay, I'm not going to deny it. I'm not going to deny it. Just the fact that the game was really good was just a bonus, quite frankly. But yeah, Dead or Alive 2, awesome. Pretty much the representation of all the fighting games on the Dreamcast, for me at least. So that's okay. Now number 17 here. Now this is an odd pick, and I'm just looking at this for the first time. There's a big massive sticker on it. I don't know if I paid this much for it. I really hope I didn't. But either way, it's Toy Story 2. This is a really good game. Okay. It's a port of like what you go on the PS1, a 3D platformer where you play as Buzz Lightyear. And I played this game a lot. I really did. It's got horrendous loading times, and I remember using like the analog stick with Buzz Lightyear for some reason. Like, I don't know, I have a distinct memory of this, but using the analog stick on the Dreamcast, Buzz Lightyear could not go straight forward. Okay, like the window of like whether he would turn left or right was that narrow on the Dreamcast. I don't know, I just always remember that. I might need to pop this in and test that out again, because I do remember thinking that was awful. But regardless, I'm putting this at number 17. You know, a lot of good memories for it, and it is legitimately good. You know, I even like the Toy Story 1 for the Mega Drive. You know, that was a decent like platforming game as well. But yeah, Toy Story 2, I can't, you know, get a decent spot on my favourite Dreamcast games list, so yeah. Right, next up we have number 16, a game that I put a decent amount of time into. The Dreamcast version was not the best version by any means, but it's the one that I played. It was very similar to Shenmue, and yeah, it's the Nomad Soul. David Cage's first game, well, first game that he kind of like had a big involvement into. It's got David Bowie in it and shit, so yeah, that's a thing. Yeah, this is a really like, I like the sort of like world of this one. I've never beaten it, which is weird because it was a game that I spent a lot of time in, and like always feeling like so lost in. I don't know, I feel like if I went back to it now I would be able to beat it, but yeah, I get a very weird vibe off of this one. It's like, I don't know, I can't ignore it. It's probably the best thing I can like way to describe it. It's just everything in my brain tells me I shouldn't like it, but I just kind of do. It's got that sort of effect on me. It's weird. And I'm a fan of David Cage's other shit, at least a few of his games. Fahrenheit was pretty good. Heavy Rain was really good, and I kind of stopped paying attention after that. Beyond Two Souls was... I thought it was wank, but yeah. Nomad Soul, good shit. Like I said, you're probably better off playing the PC version than the Dreamcast version. I think there's even, like, in the opening cinematic, the main character, Kale, actually directly talks to the player and say, you're gonna do this through your computer screen. You know, he's breaking the fourth wall and shit. And the text doesn't say computers, it just says Dreamcast. So it's like, yeah, that's kind of a perfect indication of the quality of the port itself. So, the Nomad Soul, that was number 16. Fuck me, we've only done 5 so far. This is a long one, people. This is a long one. Okay, so number 15, we have, you know, this is an interesting one again as well. And so many of my Dreamcast games have cracks in the front. That is all in the same place too. What the f... Oh, Sega, what were you like with these, like, dual clip cases, you know? Anyway, Soul Reaver, The Legacy of Kain. You know what I always find so remarkable about Soul Reaver is I'm so drawn to this guy right here, Raziel, the main character. I don't know why, there's something about him that I find so badass. Maybe I was just introduced to him at a fairly rebellious state in my life. And like, I'll always remember in the opening to this game, you see him in his sort of like zombified form, and he's got like that cape on his shoulder, and he looks like shit, you know, you just see him, it's like, oh, I'm gonna play as that. But then he like takes the scarf and instantly puts it round him, and I remember getting a fright because it moved so fast, you know, here's this thing, he just goes, and I'm like, oh god, and then all of a sudden you see him with a scarf around him, and he instantly looks badass. I'm like, holy shit, that's, yeah, I want to play as that now. So yeah, that always sticks out to me. Obviously the game itself is really good, you know, a decent little semi-open world puzzle platformer sort of thing with a really good story. This is like what Amy Hennig would work on before she went off to Naughty Dog to make the Uncharted games. You know, this was her starting position. And I've enjoyed the other games in the series, well, the other Soul Reaver games and Defiance. Never played any of the Blood Omen games, should really get round to that one time. But yeah, Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver. Probably the best version, console version of the game. I've seen the PS1 version running and I just always remember thinking, oh god, that ain't pretty. But yeah, it's maybe it's console fanboyism, who knows. But yeah, Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver. You know, it's funnily enough, I'm pretty sure I'll have less to say as we like get on to like the top ones, because they're ones that I already talk about so much. So yeah, there's that. So number 14 is one of the first games I played on it. One of the ones that I got on that fateful Christmas morning I got my Dreamcast. And I remember this game, one of the things that's most special to me about it, it's like, see, I came right off the Sega Saturn and I had like 4 games for the Saturn, and they were all like Sonic R and Sonic Jam and just some other shite. I hadn't quite grasped the concept of saving a game yet, and this was the game that always confused me, because I was like, why can't I beat this in one sitting? And I was to that party relatively late, you know, it was like, you'd think, even on the Super Nintendo or something, well, I did sort of, I played Link to the Past, but yeah, the concept didn't truly like grasp me of like, you can't beat a game in one sitting, until I played this game, and it turns out it's just a very, very good game as well. Blue Stinger. Okay, not a very, very, very good game. This is almost like a predecessor to like Deadly Premonition on a so bad it's good sort of like way, you know? And I don't think games can be so bad that they're good. I mean, they probably can, but after a while I just sort of stop thinking, oh, this is so bad it's good, and just think, oh, this is good. And yeah, it's like the voice acting, the cheesy voice acting and story and all that, that's all enjoyable, but it is at its core, a decent survival horror game, you know, that I enjoy immensely. It's got Ryan Drummond voicing the main character and shit, so yeah, and it just screams early Dreamcast so much. I think on the back of like Elliot's t-shirt, the main character, it's got like the name of his company, and it says in text, ever since 2001, and when I was playing this back in 1999, 2001 seemed mega far away. I don't know, I always remember thinking that. But yeah, Blue Stinger, it's good shit. I love this game, I really do. Okay, next up, number 13. Number 13 is Space Channel 5. Yeah, it's Space Channel 5, ooh la la. I mean, Tetsuya Mizuguchi does amazing music here. Very simple game. The idea of paying like 40 quid for this, even back then, would probably have like made me flip my shit. Of course, we don't have to worry about that now. We can look back at this as a good like collector's item thing. And yeah, that it is. This is a very addicting rhythm game. One that I've never beaten, actually. I always fuck up at the last boss. Okay, there's like a moment where the controls become reversed, and I can never fucking do that. I will one day. But regardless, yeah, Space Channel 5. Good shit. I don't have the second one anywhere. I have it downloaded on a few consoles, but yeah, I should get round. Was that even released on the Dreamcast in this region? I should know this, but I don't. But we'll get to that at some point. Right, number 12 is... yeah, it's Grandia 2. Grandia is a series that I am relatively familiar with. Never played 3, to be fair. Played a lot of 1, loved 1, never did beat it. PlayStation 2 kept crashing at a certain point, very annoying. But I did play and beat this one, and before I was surprised I didn't like get round to this one for a really long time, because you just kept hearing about how it's like it was the other killer JRPG app for the Dreamcast, right behind one other game that may or not be on this list later. But yeah, Grandia 2, published by Ubisoft as well. Ubisoft published a lot of like random RPGs on consoles as well. Like they did the Evolution games on the Dreamcast as well. You know, it's quite mental. But yeah, overall, I would, even though I haven't beaten it, I would actually say this is a little bit weaker than the first one. It's a lot more serious for starters. You know, your main character Ryudo, he's a bit more like, I've a dark past and shit, serious JRPG protagonist material. But the game itself is still a really solid JRPG and has my favourite battle theme of all time. Seriously, type in Grandia 2 battle theme if you've never heard it before. That is the best battle theme you will ever hear. At least it was for me, so yeah. Grandia 2, good shit. You can get this on Steam as well, the new, like an anniversary edition, which I do own, but I've never sat down to play properly. Also, don't play it on the PS2. I don't know why you shouldn't play it on the PS2. It's apparently a really shitty port compared to the Dreamcast one, so take that for what you will. Okay, and next up we have to number 11, to round up the first half of this list, Rez. Yeah, now this is interesting because this was not cheap, this copy of Rez. For the Dreamcast, because it's more commonly known on the PlayStation 2, which is where I played it. Actually, I played it even more on the Xbox Live Arcade, you know. I used to have a demo disc for the PS2 version of Rez that I would play constantly and just really enjoy. Always meant to pick it up, never did. Then played it on the Dreamcast, the Xbox 360, sorry, and loved it there. I don't think I've ever popped this in yet. Who knows, maybe this version's actually shite. You never know. But despite that, all my feelings towards the other versions of the game are very high, and I really do adore this game, you know. Like, this and Space Channel 5 are definitely the best rhythm games that you'll get. It's not even technically a rhythm game, it's really more of an on-rail shooter, really, but I kind of classify it as a rhythm game, since you have to, like, shoot in rhythm with the music to get more points and stuff. So that kind of makes sense to me. I've also never played, Samba de Amigo, you know. That's expensive, especially if you want to get the maracas. I've got the fucking Wii version in there, and it's awful. Wii version, sorry. Yeah, Rez, I love this game. Really should play for it at least once though. It feels so cheap, doesn't it? Right, okay. Tell you what guys, I didn't plan to do this, but let's cut it there. Let's split it into 2 videos. That's what people love to do, isn't it? And I'll do my top 10 next time. So, will I do it right after this video? Will I wait a wee bit? Who knows? Maybe my enthusiasm will wear off before then, but yeah. Anyway, that's that guys. See you after. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.